Hello, welcome. Oh, my camera's a little weird. Hold on. I got a new chair. I don't know if you can tell. Hi, my name is Keith. I am your meditation teacher tonight on this channel, Meditation Breaks. And on this channel, we talk about meditation and we look at how to meditate from a lot of different angles. Right? We might think, well, meditation is just kind of sitting on the floor with our eyes closed, which is a way to meditate, but it is not the only way to meditate, and that's what today's topic is all about. So we're gonna take some time and first introduce meditation to you all. I know there's a bunch of people who are new, which is wonderful. So we'll start with the basics of what is meditation, how does it work, why does it work, should we invest time into this? All right, our time is precious. And then we'll do a short meditation together just to kind of get everyone feeling comfortable about how we go about meditating. And then we'll get into our topic. Every week we do a different topic. This week, one of my favorites. It's a really practical look at how we can start to take things we're already doing and turn them into a meditation practice. I do this particular class maybe every 2 months because I think it's really, really apt for modern day life, right? Special reminder for today's meditation, you're going to need a glass of water or a beverage of your choosing. It doesn't matter to me. Do whatever you want. It doesn't need to be a big old gallon, just a little bit. I will remind everyone many times, but this is reminder number one. You like my new chair? Yeah. I have back problems. This one's nice because it's very stiff on the back. I can't really recline, even though I love reclining. All right. So if you do have any questions as the class is progressing, feel free to ask. You don't have to wait for me to be like, hey, does anybody have any questions? Always feel free to ask. Take advantage of the fact that this is a live session. That's one of the beauties of it, is if something isn't making sense, or you want me to explain something in a different way, just let me know and I'll respond to the questions as best I can. Easiest way to do that is to use the chat, as you see some people already have been doing. If you don't want to do that, or you think of a question after the class is over, I'll give everyone my email, so you can email me anything that comes up. Cool? All right. So we're going to get started with a little introduction into meditation. 101, whatever you want to call it. The basics. So when we think about the word meditation, it evokes this kind of image of somebody sitting cross-legged on the floor, right? That's what the emoji looks like. You do the Google search for meditation. 99.99999% of the images will return with people sitting on a wood floor or something, with their legs crossed, looking pretty comfortable. This is a way to meditate, yes, but it is not the definition of meditation, right? So the definition of meditation. All right. Cross-legged on the floor right now. That's great. Look, I do that too, but you don't need to. Some people are like, well, it doesn't look comfortable. I guess meditation isn't for me. Right? But the definition of meditation is pretty I guess I would describe it as it is a technique of familiarizing your mind with something. Right? Which is maybe an unusual thing to think about, because those words, familiarizing our mind, is not something that we think about or say. It's not a phrase that we use often, but it's something that we do all the time. So if we think about something you're super familiar with, I often use the act of tying your shoe, which I think you're probably all pretty good at these days, right? Probably can tie your shoe pretty readily, your eyes closed or I don't know, in all sorts of precarious situations. Tying your shoe is something that you have been kind of over familiarized with, to the point that it comes so naturally to you. You don't have to think too much about it, right? Now, that was not always the case when you were a little kid. When somebody was like, hey, look at this shoe with this string. Guess what we're going to do? You're like, huh? Yeah. It was a pretty hard task to turn a singular string into a functional yet elegant bow. And the first couple times we did it, we didn't do it very well. And then over time, a little bit each day, it started to make more sense, started to click. All the mechanics of tying your shoe, both mental, physical, they started to fall into place. And as a result of that, tying our shoe became pretty easy to us. It came naturally. So this is the connection between familiarity, right, and our superpower, right, as humans. Our ability to become so familiar with things that they start to arise with less effort, right? So when we think about meditation, and most of us are here to relax, to de-stress, all those wonderful things that we hear meditation is really good at doing. The way that meditation actually relaxes you isn't by creating some sort of peacefulness. It's teaching you to become really familiar with your relaxed self. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I don't know, I haven't seen relaxed self that much. Maybe that's not me. But we all have our relaxed self. If we are honest with ourselves, think about it. There are times that we've been very like calm, cool, collected. Don't worry about it. All those that thing that we want to be. Really like kind of peaceful. It's in there, right? It's a part of you. It's not something that we have to go obtain. You have it. Right? What we're doing with meditation is we're teaching you to become so familiar with relaxed you that it requires less effort for it to show up. Right now, it requires effort for relaxed us to show up. Right? We have to try hard to be patient. You don't have to try hard to get angry. That comes pretty naturally because our mind has had a lot of practice getting frustrated. It has had less practice being patient in tough situations, for example. So that's the kind of beauty of what meditation can offer. It's not simply just relaxing. We can familiarize ourselves with anything that we want, anything that's important to us. Maybe that's gratitude to people that have helped us. Maybe that's a positive self-image, right? These are all things that we have, right? We're capable of doing. And meditation is a wonderful technique to help us train our mind to become so familiar with them that they show up, right? They show up with less effort, right? So, that's all well and good. There's my spiel on what meditation is. But how do we go about doing this? And generally, when you start meditation, almost always you start by doing breathing meditation. For good reason, your breath is always with you. All right? You don't have to go and being under any special circumstances. You have your breath. So if you can become pretty adept at using your breath as a way to kind of start training yourself to relax and to become like familiar with the things you want to become familiar with, to focus your mind, well, that's a really, really good tool in your tool belt. And it's one that travels very well. So that's where we're going to start. And this is more formally known as single-pointed concentration, right? So breathing meditation is single-pointed concentration on your breath. And what our topic is, we'll get to that later, is kind of realizing that, hey, you know what? We can do single-pointed concentration on anything, right? But we're going to start with our breath because it's a really good starting point for us. So single-pointed concentration, what does that mean? The definition is in the definition. Right? We are focusing on one thing. We are not multitasking. Whoa, that's hard. Because you think we're familiar with multitasking? Yeah, we do it all the time. Everything we do is based in multitasking. Right now, maybe you just took a sip of water while you're listening to me. You're multitasking. Right? You're juggling your thoughts between different things. And so we're going to try to not do that. And we might get some resistance. Not because we're incapable of doing it, but because why? We're not familiar with it. Right? And so the things that we're not familiar with require some extra effort. Right? Our mind does what it is familiar with doing. Right now, for however many years you've been around, your mind has had an insane amount of practice multitasking. And so that's its default. And so when we try to not multitask, sometimes our mind's like, what's going on here? I can think about 6 million things. Why are we thinking about one? Right? So this is a slow burn kind of process training to get our mind to not only settle in to focusing on one thing and relax, but also to look forward to it. Right? So single point of concentration, breathing meditation, whatever you want to call it, from an instructional standpoint is pretty straightforward. It's going to be 3 steps. We're going to choose to focus on our breath. Step 1. All right. Sometimes we accidentally do this. Maybe you've ever been in the zone or like flow state or something at work. You're just working on a project and like you lose track of time or you don't hear noises. It's kind of the effect of being hyper concentrated on something, right? All other things fade away a little, right? But we want to start to be able to practice doing this intentionally, right? So that's our first step, is to say to ourselves, I'm going to focus on my breath exclusively, and that's it for next couple of minutes or whatever, right? Step 1. Step 2 is, while we're doing that, whenever we notice that our mind is drifting, and it will, don't worry about that. That's fine. All right. Maybe you're thinking about what do you got to do later or something that happened earlier today. We're just going to say, not right now. That's our little saying here. Not right now to those thoughts. We're not saying they're bad. We're not saying they're not important. We're just saying not right now. We're in charge, not our mind. We'll get to those thoughts later. Okay. So we're choosing to focus on our breath. We're noticing when our attention drifts. And then we're just going to bring our attention back to breathing. So that little loop, we're going to do it over and over again. And over time, as this becomes more normalized for you, you're going to start to what you'll sometimes call like settle in, right? And you're going to start to relax. There's no more room in your mind for all the anxious thoughts, the worries, the what ifs, because you're so hyper-focused on your breath, right? Cool. Okay. So we're going to do a breathing meditation together. It will not be very long. Maybe you're like, yeah, I hear that you have to meditate for a really long time. No, you do not. Consistency is the most important thing. So if you got 30 seconds in the morning every day, cool. That's way better than 2 hours once a month. So we're going to do a short breathing meditation. I'm going to guide us. And we're going to go through those 3 steps, right? To kind of get everyone settled with how we go about meditating. Sound good? Okay. All right. Preparation time. Get comfy. Maybe you are sitting on the floor. Maybe you do like sitting on the floor. That's cool. Maybe you got a nice, comfy, fancy new office chair like me, and you'd like to sit in it to be comfortable. That's also fine. Perhaps you're extremely tired and you'd like to lay down. Go for it. It does not matter how you're seated, right? There's no like rule that, if you're not on the floor, it doesn't work. No. So just make sure that you're feeling pretty comfortable with wherever your seating arrangement is. And you can go ahead and close your eyes, and I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, take a moment, check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What is my mind up to? Maybe you're feeling happy. Maybe you're feeling sad. Maybe you're feeling energetic, or maybe you're feeling fatigued. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're not doing anything about it. We are just noticing, taking inventory of our own mind. This is an example of training in mindfulness. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts moment to moment so that you can respond in a skillful manner to those thoughts. So take a moment, check in. Having done that, you can now make a choice. You can choose to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on your breath. Breathing in and breathing out very gently and very naturally. You do not need to take big, deep breaths. You do not need to forcefully exhale the air. However you normally breathe, just do that. In and out. And allow yourself to relax a little bit into your cushion, chair, whatever you're sitting on. Sink in. Single-pointedly focused on breathing in and breathing out. Very gently and very naturally. At some point, your mind will wander. Maybe you're starting to think about something that happened earlier today. Maybe you're starting to plan for something you have to do later after this class is over. Whenever you notice that your mind is drifting in this way, we can just say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. And then guide your attention back to breathing. In and out. Very gently and very naturally. Single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. See if you can follow the air for its entire journey. As you breathe in, you take in the air from the atmosphere. Fills your lungs with life, nourishing your body. And then as you exhale, you release that air back into the atmosphere where it dissipates. Staying with each moment of each breath, having a genuine interest in breathing in and breathing out, very gently and very naturally. keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice it drifting. Doesn't matter how many times you need to do this. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and then being able to bring your attention back to breathing, that is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to be calm, to focus, to access its natural, peaceful state. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. Choice. And right now, the only thing you're focusing on is breathing in and breathing out, very gently and very naturally. So just for the last few moments, continue to breathe. Just enjoy sitting here with your breath, relaxing. That's all. Okay. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. So that was a pretty straightforward breathing meditation, right? It only had 3 steps. We just did them a lot. And if you're new, probably one of 2 things happened. One, you're like, oh, well, isn't that bad? Or you're like, whoa, man, my mind is all over the place. Yeah. And either of these are perfectly fine, right? So a very important takeaway of meditation, especially when we're getting started, is that sometimes we think the goal is that we should just never get distracted, that our mind should be like, oh, okay, boop, right? But our mind thinks. That's what it does. And so the goal isn't to never get distracted, but the goal is to start to notice when you're distracted and then be like, oh, I was distracted there. And then we're bringing our attention back, right? So noticing is really a big part of this, right? It's really our first step. Right? Nina, you don't realize how many thoughts you're having until you sit and try to focus. Nina, beautifully said. That is a very common thing that people experience when they meditate. In fact, sometimes people will say, it seems like my mind is busier when I meditate, right? But what's happening is exactly what you said. You're starting to notice just for the first time how busy your mind is all day long. Whoa, that's exhausting. No wonder you're so mentally exhausted at the end of the day. Your mind is, firing like this, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So we can see how that would be pretty taxing after a while. And over time, we're going to have to bring our attention back less, right? So even if we're maybe now getting distracted after a second or 2, that's fine. Perfect, right? Bring our attention back. Doesn't matter. Over time, that's going to get easier, right? Riley, getting better. Yeah. So, and meditation is a very slow burn. I say that a lot here. I got into meditation for like clinical depression, clinical anxiety. I want it gone now. I know that feeling. And I think meditation is a slow burn. It is very wonderful and has done amazing things for me personally. But it's something that takes a little while, right, to kind of get used to. So you got to stick with it, right? This is, I think, a good segue into what we're going to talk about today, finding ways that make you able to stick with it, right? Sarah, I noticed that when some thoughts did come up, I realized the true feelings associated with them too, as opposed to them just passing through. and I was still able to come back to the breath. That's great. So, analogy time. I need like a jingle or something, you know? When I like to use this analogy a lot, and it describes, I think, what you're experiencing. If you think about a lake that is very still and very calm, right? Maybe we're on a hike or a nature walk or something, we can see the reflection. If the water is still, we can see the reflection in the lake. It's a beautiful day. Lovely. Now, if it starts to rain a little bit or wind picks up, what happens to that reflection? It's not as easy to see, right? It's not as clear, but it's still there, right? The reflection doesn't go away. It's just obscured. And if it's like, really bad weather or whatnot, we might not be able to describe or see the reflection at all, but it is still there, right? And so what's happening when we're meditating, when we're starting to relax, we're starting to, be calm, and all the like chatter that's normally going on in our mind is starting to fade a little bit, is that reflection becomes clear, right? A little more clear. So like you're saying, you'll notice when thoughts come up, right? You're seeing them in a different way, right? Maybe sometimes I like to say with more interest and less fear, or like annoyed, like, oh, why am I thinking about that? But it's more like, oh, that's interesting, right? It's like a different level of thinking. Very cool. Awesome. Okay. So congratulations, you did meditation. Right? It's not that bad. So now we're going to talk about our topic for today. And here's reminder number 2. For the meditation that will occur in a little while, you will need, if you'd like to participate, you'd need a little bit of water or a beverage of your choosing. I don't care. Wine? Is it wine night? Go for it. Just a little bit of beverage of some kind, because we're going to do a fun meditation that involves drinking. Right? Cool. There's reminder number 2. So today's class is all about practical ways to incorporate meditation into your life. And I think of all of the things that I have learned over many, many years I've been meditating, is that getting creative as to how to make meditation work for you is the most important thing. Everyone has different schedules. Everyone has different tolerances of how much time they can dedicate towards something. And often we'll compare ourselves to other people. Oh, this person, my friend, they got into meditation. They meditate for an hour a day, but I can't do that. It doesn't matter. And some people don't like breathing meditation is just very uncomfortable for them. Sitting quietly is not something that they like. The good news is that sitting quietly with your eyes closed, focusing on your breath, is not the only way to meditate. There are infinite ways to meditate, and they are all equally good. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and we're going to go over some kind of cool, creative ways you can start to rethink about your day and the tasks that you're already doing, and how you can maybe turn them into a meditation practice, right? We don't want to add more stuff to your plate. It's full, I know. There's a lot going on. We all have a lot going on. So we don't want to get overwhelmed with it. So let's get creative about how we can incorporate this really helpful thing into our life. Cool? So the only thing that is required for something to be meditation, right, is we're choosing to focus on it single-pointedly. We are actively, intentionally making that choice. We're noticing when we are no longer exclusively focused on it. And then we are bringing our attention back, right? So that's what we did with breathing meditation. We made a choice to focus on our breath. We noticed when our attention drifted, we brought it back. Right? Now, that's great, but we don't have to use our breath. We can use anything, right? I could lift my delicious bubbly seltzer up and down over and over again and only focus on this. And when my mind starts to be like, why am I doing this? I'll be like, no, put those thoughts aside and go back to focusing on My shoulder's hurting. Raising the bubbly up and down. So the only thing that is required is that we're making a choice to choose. We're making a choice, choosing to focus on something single-pointedly. Being aware for when we're not exclusively focused on it, bringing our attention back, right? So there's infinite possibilities here, right? So maybe you're somebody who sitting quietly, without a lot of noise, it is not a comfortable situation for you. And I do encourage you to try like a more traditional breathing meditation because it is very helpful, right? Sometimes if we're like, well, I can only relax when I'm walking. Well, if you get hurt, you break your leg or something and you can't walk, well, now you're gonna be like, well, I can't relax, right? So traditional meditation, sitting down, just with nothing, just breathing is amazing. Definitely don't abandon it. But let's expand the definition of meditation to see if there's any other things that we can kind of do in our day to help us get in the groove, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about different things we can do. The first we're going to touch on is a movement-based meditation. Any yoga people who like yoga? I know there's a lot. I too like yoga, even though my days are a little behind me. I've broken my wrist one too many times. But hey, Adrian, yoga, what happens when we go to a yoga class, right? I'll tell you what doesn't happen. They're not like, hey, welcome to yoga class. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to do these maneuvers and you're going to think about work. No, the goal with yoga is like we're going to focus single-pointedly on how our body feels as we do different positions with our body, right? That's the goal. We are focusing single-pointedly on how our body feels as we're changing positions. We're noticing when our attention drifts, maybe it's thinking about work, and we're like, not right now. We're doing yoga, and then we're bringing it back, right? So what is that? With meditation, it's the exact same thing we just did with our breath, only we've changed what is known as the object of our meditation. So in breathing meditation, the object of our meditation is our breath. In yoga, the object of our meditation is our body and movement, right? And sometimes we actually do breath work there too. Maybe you're like, you know what, Keith, I don't like yoga. Cool. There's a lot of other movement-based activities that we can do and turn into a fruitful meditation practice. Sure, you go to the grocery store once in a while, right? What happens? You drive to the grocery store, you park in the parking lot, and then there's that 30 feet, if you get a good spot, that you walk from your parking spot into the grocery store. And what are we thinking about during that time? Oh, I got to get eggs and this and that. And I'm going to start on the left side of the store. I don't know. Everyone probably thinks about something differently, right? But what if we're like, hey, you know what? Whenever I go grocery shopping, for that walk from my car to the front door of the grocery store, I'm just going to focus on how my feet feel as they hit the pavement, right? Yeah, mental list. Perfect, right? Checklist. So let's make a choice, right? Let's turn something that we are already doing. We have to walk from our car to the grocery store. We can turn that into our little meditation time, which is great, right? Because now we're meditating even more. And, maybe if you don't have a lot of time to sit down quietly, well, here, we're getting creative. Now we can take this simple act of walking to the front of a store and turn it into a meditation practice. Right? So, for example, if that's what we're doing, we're, focusing on how our feet feel as they connect with the ground. And then our mind's like, oh, yeah, I don't need eggs. And then we're like, no, not right now. Focusing on how my feet feel as they touch the floor. It's the same concept, right? We're choosing to focus on one thing. We're noticing when our attention drifts. We're bringing it back. That's it. Right. Also doesn't have to be walking. I did the example of the little bubbly moving the can up and down, right? Motion with our arms is another one. We can focus on how our shoulder feels as we lift it up and down. There's infinite possibilities. I'm not going to go over every way we can move. Right? So movement's great. A lot of people love it. Walking meditation is big. If you Googled that, a lot comes up. So what else? Maybe we don't like doing movement stuff. Maybe we're hurt. We hurt our leg. It's not easy for us to move. What about some other things? What about taste? Mindful eating. Heard of that? Maybe mindful drinking. That's what we're gonna do. Next reminder: we're gonna need a little bit of water for the meditation we're gonna do. So think about this, right? You eat breakfast, hopefully every morning. It's healthy. What do you think about when you're eating? Not eating. Maybe for the first bite. You're at a great restaurant. You're like, oh man, it's fantastic. Then we're starting to think about something else, like, it's a little drafty in here. I don't know. I'm just making something up. But the point is, we don't really think about eating when we're eating. We're doing it, but our mind's elsewhere. We're multitasking, right? So what if, for the first couple of bites of our breakfast, instead of letting our mind do whatever it wants, we're gonna be, hey, for the first couple of bites of this piece of fruit or whatever I'm eating, I'm going to focus exclusively on how it feels to eat this piece of fruit. That's it. And then if I catch myself, thinking about work or whatever, not right now. Bring our attention back. So we've turned eating into meditation, right? And it's no better or worse than breathing meditation. It's the same thing. We're just finding different ways to incorporate it into our life. You don't need to do it for the whole meal. Just a couple bites to practice. Cool. Riley, how do you help manage the what ifs? I find that when I do this, my mind heads towards future stressor. Any advice? Yeah. So actually, if you are somebody who tends to have kind of an anxious mind, right? A lot of worries, a lot of what ifs, a lot of rumination. Talking about me. These types of activity-based meditations are amazing because we are kind of giving our mind a job, right? Sometimes when we are saying, okay, we're just going to focus on our breath, it's a little too nebulous for us, and our mind immediately is starting to go elsewhere. But walking, right, that requires some mental effort. And so doing a walking meditation, sometimes our mind locks in a little bit easier. If you are somebody who has kind of a lot of what ifs, right, getting pulled away mentally, I would experiment with a couple of the things that we're mentioning today, and even some things you might think of on your own, because these are really, really helpful. Really helpful. They've helped me a lot. Cool. Great question. So taste. Good one. What about smell? Candles. You like candles? Big candle family over here. A lot of candles. Usually when a candle is lit, I'll be like, that smells good. And then I'll go on and do something else. It's very fleeting. It's still there, right? This amazing aroma is still there, but I'm not paying attention to it for very long. So, what about the next time you light a candle? You're like, what? For next minute, I'm just going to close my eyes and focus on the aroma of this candle. That's it. If I catch myself thinking about, I got to start watching that show or whatever, we're going to bring our attention back, right? I told you to do word nebulous? Wow, that's a good one. I use it. I think I use it a lot. Cool. So smells great. Also, look, maybe you don't like candles. I don't know. Cooking dinner for yourself. A lot of downtime when we're cooking dinner. What do? We look at our phone or whatever, do whatever. Maybe we can take some of that downtime and just focus on the smell of the food. Close our eyes, single pointedly focus on that, bring our attention back when it's drifting. We're meditating, right? And it's stuff we're doing already, right? So we're not jamming our schedule with more stuff. Great. Listening is another good one. Listening to music is a really interesting one, right? Because most of us, myself included, very rarely am I listening to music and that's it, right? I'm driving, I'm working. I got music on in the background, right? It's just kind of background thing. I'm kind of multitasking with music. which is cool. Like, I love doing that. And that's all well and good, but let's say we're gonna throw some music on while we do some work. All right, for the first like a minute of this song, I'm just gonna close my eyes and I'm just gonna listen and really hone in on the instrumentation. Maybe there's vocals. Is it a high pitch voice, low pitch, whatever. We're just gonna really plug in single pointedly to the music and only the music, right? Just for a little while. It doesn't have to be a whole 17-minute epic of I don't know what you're listening to. Right? Also sounds, if we're on a walk, we're walking to the subway to go to work, we're walking wherever, I don't know. A lot of opportunity here, for sounds. There's laughing, there's the leaves rustling in the breeze, kind of wind like whipping past your ear. Like all of these, there's audio everywhere. And we can make a choice to choose to focus on one of them and turn the simple act of walking to the subway, which we have to do to go to work if we're in a city or something like that. We can turn it into a meditation. Right? Okay. Sight, pretty self-explanatory. Watching birds fly, watching leaves rustle, looking at your hand. You ever look at your hand? I'm sure you have looked at your hand, but you ever looked at your hand? Like, really? It's weird. There's all these lines, a bunch of different lines in your hands. They're all going different directions and different like thicknesses. There's like a lot going on there, on your hand. And I don't know about you, but I don't spend a lot of time looking at it. So we could meditate on how our hand looks if we want to do that, maybe that's one we do by ourselves. We don't need our significant other or whatever coming in like, why are you looking at your hand for 5 minutes? So sight's great. And then my favorite one, I think, would be, I guess what I would call like tactile, feeling based. This is what I gravitated to, which doesn't mean this is what you should gravitate to. Experiment, pick one of these, try it, see if it works for you. But I found these to be really good. Brushing your teeth. Here is a great one. Now we do it twice a day, morning and night. And what do we think about when we're brushing our teeth? Lord knows, but it's not brushing our teeth, right? Our mind's everywhere. Our mind's thinking about all sorts of things. So now what if we're like, hey, anytime I brush my teeth for that 2 minutes or whatever, how long we're supposed to brush our teeth, I'm just going to focus on how the bristles feel against my gums and teeth, or the sound of the bristles, right? Brushing our teeth, let's say that we do this, right? Brushing our teeth is about, now we're turning it into a 2-time-a-day meditation. Whoa, that's amazing. We went from 0 meditation to 2, right? You think about the dentist? Oh. You're reminding me, I gotta go to the dentist. Andre, focusing when someone is speaking to you or while reading is, Andre, amazing one. Thank you. Brilliant. So, right, like somebody's talking to us. You ever have this experience? Someone's talking to you and we're like, and our mind's like over here thinking about the other thing, right? So now here's a really good, it's almost like a little double whammy, right? So instead of letting our mind kind of wander while this person's talking to us, we're going to practice meditation by totally focusing single pointedly on what they're saying to us, right? That's it. And if we start to drift, like, oh, not right now, I'm going back, right? So not only are we practicing meditation, but this is a beautiful example, Andre, really, because you're also practicing a kindness to them, right? You're giving them your full attention. You're giving, right? You're giving your time to them. Incredible, right? Like, so it's both practicing kindness, gratitude, and also meditation. Love it. You give the nod all the time. Me too. Me too. Reading. Yeah, reading in a fantastic, some people, not everyone likes to read, but if you're a reader, amazing meditative experience, totally plugged into the book. You lose track of time. Whoa, an hour went by, right? Incredible. So all of these things, we don't really think of them as meditation, but they can be if we choose to make them so. That's the takeaway here, right? Cool. So I want to do a little activity-based meditation here together. And we're going to do, if you've been coming here for a while, this will be familiar to you. We're going to do a drinking meditation. I'd love to do other ones, but it's hard virtually, right? I feel like this is a good one. So if you don't have like a glass of water or a beverage of your choosing, you don't need much, but now would be a good time to go grab that. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. So what we're going to do here is we are going to take the act of drinking water, something we do very regularly. We drink things all day. We're going to take the act of drinking water and we are going to turn it into a meditation practice. All right? We're going to intentionally focus on drinking water and that's it. And hopefully a couple things are going to happen. One is we're going to start to single pointedly focus on it and other thoughts are going to kind of fade away a little bit, right? We're going to get that nice relaxed feeling. The other cool thing is a byproduct of single pointed concentration, of meditating, focusing exclusively on something. We start to notice subtleties. Who said that? Sarah. Sarah said this earlier about when she was doing breathing meditation. You're noticing like true feelings come up, right? We are seeing things a little differently. So hopefully we're going to start to see water a little bit differently. Yeah. Maybe if you didn't like water, you will after this. I don't know. Okay. Hopefully that was enough time rambling for you to go get something to drink. So we're going to start very similar to how we started previously. We're just going to do a little breathing meditation to settle in. And then I'm going to guide us through this exercise, mindful drinking, meditating on drinking, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So get nice and comfy, relax in your chair. Oh, one more thing. When I say, go ahead and pick up the glass of water, you can open your eyes to do it. I don't want you fumbling around and, like knocking over all your expensive stuff, spilling water on it. So feel free to open up your eyes. Okay. Go ahead, close your eyes, relax. Let's take a moment, as we always do, and start with checking in. How are you feeling right now? We're not comparing it to before. Before is gone. Just now. Take inventory of how you're feeling, and that's it. We are just practicing noticing. And having done that, you can once again turn your attention to your breath just for a little while to relax. You're breathing in and breathing out gently and naturally. Single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. This moment, this moment, this moment. Breathing in and breathing out very gently and very naturally as you begin to settle into your chair or cushion. And if your attention starts to drift, no big deal. We can just say, not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Bring your attention back to breathing, back to following each breath as it enters your body and exits. This is called breathing meditation. But all that is required for something to be meditation is we are choosing to focus on it single-pointedly, noticing when we are no longer doing that, and then bringing our attention back. We can turn anything into a meditative practice, such as drinking water, which is what we're going to do right now. So I would like for you at this time, you can open your eyes to do it, to pick up the glass of water, whatever drink you have. Just hold it in your hand. You can go and close your eyes again. Just hold this drink in your hand. What does holding this glass of water, this beverage, what does it feel like to the touch? Can you sense the temperature of the water just by holding it? Is it cold, room temperature, warm? What does the container that's holding the water feel like? Is it smooth? Is it rough? What does holding water feel like? Now I'd like you to bring that glass of water up to your nose and smell the glass of water. What does this glass of water, this beverage, what does it smell like? Can you sense the temperature of the water with just your nose? Can you smell the coolness or the steam? Can you smell the material of the cup, the container that's holding the liquid? What does that smell like? Plasticky? Metal? What does this cup of water smell like to you? Now I'd like you to take a sip of this water and just leave the water in your mouth. You can rest your hand on the table. You're just leaving the water in your mouth. You're not swallowing it just yet. What does this water feel like in your mouth? Can you follow it as it effortlessly moves around your teeth and gums, flowing back and forth, even with minor shifts of your body? Can you sense the temperature changing at all as the water sits in your mouth? Maybe if it was cold, now it's getting a little warmer the longer it sits. How interesting. What does it feel like to have water in your mouth? You can go ahead and swallow that sip of water. And finally, I would like you to take another sip. And as you are swallowing this water, I'd like you to fully plug in to what it feels like to drink a sip of water, to swallow a sip of water. Can you feel it moving down your throat, into your stomach, nourishing your body? Can you sense a temperature change as it moves through you? Perhaps getting warmer as it moves through your throat into your stomach. What does drinking a sip of water feel like? Just for the last few moments, I'd like you to drink as much water or your beverage, as much as you want, and just enjoy drinking this beverage. Nothing else matters, just you and this liquid and all of the wonderful, subtle joys that can be found in the simple act of drinking a sip of water. Okay, and when you are ready, you can open your eyes. Return to me way more hydrated. How we doing? Heather, drinking water is refreshing. Yes. See, I am one of those people that I'm not a big water fan. It's never been something I gravitate towards. And there's been a couple of times where when I've done this, where I've been like, man, this is delicious, right? That was bliss. Oh, cool. All right. So this is the really kind of subtle, how do I say it? The kind of subtle gift of meditation, right? What did we just do? A very simple act, right? You got some lemon water that was zesty, amazing, right? So this is a very simple act. We're drinking a sip of water, right? We're fortunate enough to have water readily available. There's not that much effort in drinking a sip of water, right? And yet, when we fully plug into it, like we really single-pointedly focus on drinking water, what starts to happen? Right, we start to notice some things about drinking water, some subtle joys, subtle interests. For me, I always seem to gravitate to like the temperature change. I'm like, whoa, that's so interesting. The temperature of this water is constantly changing depending on where it is in the process of me drinking water, right? Like Heather, drinking water is refreshing, like having this thought, like, this is refreshing, These are subtle joys, right? You had to forget all your ideas about water. Yeah. Which is a good practice, right? We're kind of like setting our preconceived notions about is water good or refreshing or not. We're setting it blank. And then we're just totally enwrapped in this very simple process, right? And so there are two huge benefits to this. One, you're meditating. So guess what? You drink water all the time. Now, if you would like to, you can turn drinking water into a meditative practice, and you're not adding anything else to your already busy day because you're already drinking liquids constantly. So that's benefit number one. Benefit number two, is, I don't know, maybe you'll like drinking water. You know, start to see some of the subtle joys in activities. That's a beautiful part of meditation, is the more present we are with something, the more single pointedly focused we are on something, we start to notice subtleties about it. Clarity, like Sarah was talking about earlier with her thoughts, like clarity, right, is a good word to describe it, right? So that's it for today. But your homework, if you choose to have it, is to try one of these things. One, don't try all of them. All right. I know we're ambitious. Just pick one. Right. Pick one that you think is going to be cool and try it. And if you're like, man, I don't like it, try a different one. You know, experiment. And see if you can turn one of your activities that you're already doing into a meditative practice. Cool. Rosa. Very interesting. Thank you, Rosa. Thanks for being here. Nina, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. That's it for today. If you had a great time, that makes me very happy to hear. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. If you have any questions at all, you can email me. As you try to do meditation on your own, you got a question that comes up, feel free to email me. It's keith@meditationbreaks.com. Okay. Cool. Julie, good to see you. All right. Riley, I will get back to your email. Thank you. Also, anyone who subscribed to my YouTube channel during the live stream, thank you. Anyone who chooses to do so at any time from here on out, thank you. It is very helpful to me, lets people know that there's an interest in this. Also helpful to you. You get access to all my old videos. You want to go see how I've changed through the years? Go ahead. Lastly, if you're really into this and you'd like to do some private study, I do that. I do one-on-one sessions. I also do group. You want to bring me into work? That's a great idea, because then you get to meditate and you don't have to do work. Win-win. But if you want to do like a one-on-one or something like that, I do them over Zoom, very laid back, very like a very cool environment. And we can focus on something that's really pertinent to you. Maybe you really want to focus on anxiety or something like that. We can do that together. So email me if that's interesting to you as well. Right. Thank you, everyone. Tracy, Sarah, Heather, Alex, Andre, Patricia. Thank you. Anyone I missed, Pat, for being here and taking time out of your day to learn with me. I love teaching. Couldn't do it without you, and I have a lot of gratitude for all of you, both new and returning people. That it's just a wonderful opportunity to be with you each week, and I appreciate that. So I hope you had a nice time. Enjoy drinking water, and I'll see y'all next week. Sarah, thank you for subscribing. You the best. See ya.